buy 3 or 4 flats or apartment and then stay in one, rent out 2 or
The
3,
rest.
and then let your tenants pay your mortgage and go and buy a Range Rover. Let your tenants pay for the Range Rover. And then people laughed me to scorn. Like, yeah, it just came, they JJC.
So yeah, thank you so much for joining us to the very first episode of Beyond Borders, a podcast that I personally call it a conversation. People like to call it podcast that I have started, to foster these conversations between established immigrants globally, but starting with the US, and so that they can transfer some of the things they've learned, traveling from their hometown to, a country that they've now made their own, and then they've created success for themselves in one way or another. Some people will think, oh, is it only big people that you're calling? No. The last conversation that I had was with someone who is a software developer. Another one with a data analyst with American Express. So, and then another one that I have later would be with a student, a non-immigrant student who is doing really, really well, helping other people to also migrate for school and then eventually for work. So this is the first episode that you're watching, if you're watching right now or listening on any of the podcast platforms. And I have with me one of the people that I have followed from afar, Mr. Femi Aguda. This is really, really a great privilege, and thank you for your support, sir. Thank you for accepting to join. A lot of people do not know, might not know.
Thank you for having me, if I can say, and it's a great privilege to be the first episode. It's a huge responsibility, though, but at least thank you for giving me that honor.
Yes, sir, because, from here, we scale it up. And I'm very sure that we would even have you maybe in another couple of months, in another, say, 6 months to say, okay, from here to here, what has happened? What do we need to be aware of? What do we need to learn, about the things that, Uncle Femi is doing? So some people might not know who Femi Aguda is. Can you, introduce yourself to us, sir?
Okay. Once again, thank you for having me. And so Femi Aguda, how do I explain who I am? So my name is Femi Aguda, and I'm a Nigerian American, and I'm a real estate entrepreneur. I know a lot of people think I'm just a real estate broker, but I'm actually a real estate entrepreneur. So I do all things real estate. I'm a broker, managing broker. I own a brokerage. I fix, flip. I sell. I have tenants. I'm an investor, and also recently I'm also a builder now. So I'm all things real estate kind of.
Yeah. And also a family man, I must put. Your video with your daughter, trended.
I'm also a content creator. But if you ask me, I always like to say this way that I'm Femi Aguda. I'm a engineer by training, but a businessman by calling. So that's usually the way I like introduce myself. So
great.
Yeah.
So how long have you been in the US?
So by next month, first of December 2024, it will be 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 9 years.
Wow. So what made you decide, okay, you know what, guys, let's go?
Okay, so I think so. Of course, Nigeria. When you grew up, I would not say there was no spoon when I was born. I believe that there was whether it's, I don't know, your dad, my dad was not okay, as in to me, to the best of my knowledge. And then growing up, everything started going down until, there was nothing in that sense. So for me, I usually have this global perspective and global view where I'm like, I want to affect the world. I want to do this, and also because the way I grew up, 5 kids in one room, you're like, I'm gonna have a big house and everything. So that kind of like shaping my view. Like I don't want to live this small. I want to live big and
Mm.
everything. And then early on, I got exposed to motivational books, Nigeria, like reading
Mm.
motivational books,
Yes, sir.
and I must say this here, people just like some people were laughing like, "Oh, just reading all these motivational books." But one thing people don't understand is that principles are universal.
Yes, sir.
Methods of application might be different. So
Mm.
where I was reading those books, I was looking out for the principles that these people have applied. So if you plant mango tree in Nigeria and if you plant a mango seed rather in Nigeria, a mango seed in America, you're gonna get mango fruit.
Mm.
So the way you will plant it might be different because of different weather, but you will reap the same mango fruit. So
Mm.
that's the thing about principle. So when you read all these motivational books, leadership books, it's about the principle that they applied that you can apply in your own life and then or get the result that they got. So I have a
Mm.
global view, and we all know kind of like Nigeria limited and everything, but I just started, watch movies, watch so many things that are just shaping your horizon. And I eventually I went to the UK for my MBA. But when I got to the UK, rooms were small, roads are small, everything was small. I'm like, no, no way, this is not for me.
Mm.
So the view I had was an American view. So getting to the UK, the view was not viewing. Since this is for immigrants and Nigeria, so they will understand the view was not viewing.
Yeah,
So
boy.
I just said, no, this is not for me. I just had to leave. So I kind of like wanted to come to America. So after my MBA, I came in here for 2 weeks, like
Mm.
to spy the land and to see if this is what it is. And truly, truly, it was what I was envisaging it to be. So I went back
Mm.
to Nigeria. I remember I came here 2014. I spent 2 weeks, and then I came back 1 year later. I came back 1st of December 2015.
Mm.
So yeah, so that's for me, it's been the dream, the vision that is driving me, of wanting to be an entrepreneur on a global scale, wanting to.
Mm.
So I didn't see myself becoming that, especially in the UK. As in, no, no, no. I don't like. How will I say it? I'm not trying to put down
Nothing
the
against the
UK.
UK, yeah.
I just felt that was not my own environment, right? It was not my own environment. This is the what I've been saying. It's America, and so
Mm.
and that's one thing. If you feel that an environment is not okay for you, don't stay
Yeah.
there. Move. You're not a
Mm.
tree. It's only
Mm.
trees that will stay in one place. So as much as possible, just move. I know I've said so
Mm.
many things, I said so many questions, but
Mm.
I believe that's kind of like summarizes. I had a big vision, and I needed the environment for it to thrive. For the
Tribe.
plants, I'm going to thrive.
Mm.
And more importantly, also, I'm a very spiritual person. God
Mm.
also wants me to be here. So it was also part of
Mm.
my instruction that for me to be here.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Now, so you mentioned something when you were talking about how that and that would, transcend our conversation to another area, that
Okay.
growing up, there was some level of finance or money in the family, right? But then it got to a point, then there was a downward slope. It started going down, then dwindling up to the point where nothing was happening, or uh, the family is now broke in the sense of the word, right? So, and I would make a bold statement to say that that is almost the status quo, or that is how it has happened with many families in Nigeria. Maybe because of the 2008 depression, or I don't know, whatever, or recession rather,
No,
whatever happened. Because
I,
for me also, when I was,
yeah.
when they gave birth to me, I see baby pictures of me. I was bawling with, you know, with a little child, 1 year old, using necklaces and jewelry and all of that. But then this is me today trying to, arrange for myself. So, one, what do you think about that? phenomena as a thing that families start up being comfortable and then nothing happens? Is it that they are not able to manage wealth, or what do you think is going on?
Uh, it's really interesting that you asked me that because
Mm,
I lived in an estate. I've always, it's part of my story. I lived in Amodofin, I was an estate. And
mm,
one thing that or the way my brain works, one thing that I did early on was that I love studying trends. As in, I love studying trends and also looking and learning. You know, it's like
mm,
I look at situations, I look at families, and one of the things that I noticed is this phenomenon you just described. You know,
mm,
in the estates, you know, growing up, you see people that we felt were okay. They had
mm,
maybe two or three cars, as in they were balling, and then they had one child, two child. And it's as if the more time, the more, the longer they were, the passage of time, the longer the passage of
mm,
time, and the more they were giving birth to more kids, it looks as
mm.
if it was inversely proportional to the wealth going
To
down.
the wealth.
As in the similar wealth we thought going down.
Mm,
And I started looking each family. I'm like, okay. I started studying this one happened, it happened to this, it happened to this. And another interesting thing that I saw was that I saw some family, they were not, they were not the ones, literally, there was ones we felt were better than them in that sense, even though
mm,
we're not really wealthy, but we felt we're better than them. And after a while, I realized that those people kind of like overtook the people that we thought were balling. So I
mm,
saw those two phenomena, and you just hear that they built a house here. I'm like, these people, we had more
mm,
money than them. We're going to the best of schools and everything.
mm,
So I kind of like studied that, and I discovered two things that I discovered. I'm sure if I say this, a lot of people your parents will tell you, oh man, there was a time we were balling. If you see the way money was coming and everything. So
mm,
you're almost tempted to ask them, so what happened?
mm,
So and one of the things that I found that happened was that a lot of people started working for companies, corporations, organizations, which is good. And they thought money was going to keep coming the way money was coming.
mm,
So they did not invest,
mm,
or they thought they invested, because what the idea of what they were doing then was not, they were not, I don't think a lot of them were looking at generational wealth in that sense. They were just looking at, I want to be okay with me, my family, and that kind of thing. So, and the other thing I discovered was that a lot of people did not know how to manage money.
mm,
So those two things kind of affected a whole lot of families that, after a while they'll start negotiating, you will pay your school fees first. You as in, that kind of thing. And
mm,
I made up my mind. Of course, maybe that's where I got my entrepreneurial skills from. I also discovered that a lot of them were tied to their 9 to 5, right?
mm,
The ones that usually have some steady source of income or flow were those ones that were kind of like businessmen. Even though when they
mm,
started, it looked as if they were disadvantaged. But given time, they kept moving and moving up and moving up and moving up. And then, ones were the ones that we kind of like admire, that I admired and looked at. So I think not, our parents thought the money was going to be coming,
mm,
like it was coming, and a lot of them thought their job was secured forever,
mm,
as in secure forever. And then a lot of them, their income did not increase while they were having more kids. There was nothing they were doing to increase their
mm,
wealth. Apart from waiting for promotion, there was no like a side also. And then I think the third one is the fact that a lot of people, they give a whole lot of their life to 9 to 5, and then at a old age they kind of like, or some people, they lost their job, they now dived into entrepreneurship, and then they lost everything.
mm,
So those are the kind of like different phenomena that I saw growing up.
mm,
I kind of like, okay, we can do better, and sometimes you can't even blame them, because I feel if they know better, they will have done better.
true, true.
Right. So the onus is now on us because after a while, our kids will look back and say, "Hi, what are you doing? What did you do?"
Mm.
And most people don't
Mm.
realize it, that they are not doing anything.
Mm.
So I hope I've answered. As in, it's one
Because
podcast.
it's funny for
Yes.
people like me and who are like 5 years younger than me and 5 years older than me. Either you like it or not, you are in the same age your parents were
Yep.
when they were having you, and when you were growing to say, there was money.
Yep.
Maybe you have started giving birth or you haven't. But right now is that age where you are making money and it looks like, I'm good, I'm balling. Because if you do not, in the current Nigeria that we have, if you do not have money to an extent, you won't be considering, relocating or what have you. So maybe
Yep.
money is coming now, you feel you are good, but then what kind of decisions are you making? What
Yep.
kind of things are you looking to put your money in? Which is another conversation that we would have also, especially for immigrants here, that are already here or in Europe or in the UK, that are or maybe even in Asia. Some people are in Japan or China, as a matter of fact, and they want to
Australia and all.
invest and start making money or start multiplying their money. So they have made money, they manage it to an extent, and they say, let's look at multiplying it now. And they want to start looking into things to put money in. So let me even make it more personal. So what is Mr. Femi Aguda doing now with his money that Alex Oyebade can learn from,
Oh, okay.
in how to like multiply money?
Okay. You've been playing around with some M's, but I would just kind of like I like when I'm teaching, like people can write down something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's the three M's of money. It's you make money, you manage money, and then you multiply money,
Yes,
right?
sir.
So three M's of money. That's something that people can write down. So
That's what jokingly say is MMM.
I don't want to use MMM because that's a negative connotation in the
Yeah.
mind. So, but it's three M's
Yeah.
of make money, manage money, and then multiply
And
money.
multiply. Yes, sir.
So, for me, what am I doing? One thing that you need to understand. I read a book a long time ago, "Cracking the Millionaire Code."
Hmm.
I think it's by James Allen, and he said something. And let me go back. Nigerians were so funny, and the way my brain works and the way I deal with my people that are close to me, I'm like, they'll be like, "Oh, we like praying. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be rich." So I'll just go close to my friend and say, "Doing what?"
Hey.
So they were like, "I'm going to be rich." I'm like, "You're not going to be rich." They'll say, "In the name of Jesus." I'm like, "No, it's not about in the name of Jesus or nothing."
Hmm.
I'm not being negative. I'm just trying to help you think clearer.
Hmm.
As in, so everybody needs a vehicle.
Hmm.
As in, you need a vehicle to wealth. If you want to build wealth, you can't pray yourself into riches.
Hmm.
Let me say that again. Everybody needs a vehicle to wealth. You can't pray yourself into riches. So I was reading that book, Cracking the Millionaire Code, and talks about you need a vehicle to wealth. You need a vehicle to wealth. You need a vehicle. So, and I was able to kind of like take stock of my own like giftings, your own abilities, special abilities, what is unique to you, and what are the things that, and a lot of times your pain points sometimes are pointers to what you will want to solve. If you grow up poor, most of the time you want to be rich. If you grow up at disadvantage, you want to turn the table. So for me, maybe you've heard the story. I grew up in block 22, flat 3. I'm one of the fiance estates. A two-bedroom flat, two-bedroom or condo flat, as we call it in Nigeria. 5 kids in one room. So I always slept on the floor,
Hmm.
as in on the floor. As in like, what I mean? Not, the floor now, like floor.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And of course, I'll lay something on it and everything. And I just made up my mind I'm going to have a big house. As in,
Hmm.
big house. Like, I can't keep sleeping on the floor. And eventually, when I started reading and started, as in like, okay, how do I make money? That's the first thing. How do I make money? And a lot of us, we go to school, become doctors, engineers, and we start having what is called end income. as in that you in exchange for the skills that you have, you get a salary or you get wages, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Literally, that is the first step. And most people don't go beyond that step.
Mm.
So for me, I chose real estate as my vehicle to wealth. So now let me break it down to myself then. I chose real estate as my vehicle to wealth. And so a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people saw me as I started as a real estate broker or real estate agent. But that was not my goal.
Mm.
My goal is to become a real estate entrepreneur or a real estate developer, developing, building, and having massive houses, apartment complexes, and all that. But I learned about think big, start small, grow fast.
Mm.
A lot of
Think
us we
big,
think big,
start small, and then
yeah,
grow fast.
we think big, but we think so big that we don't know how to start.
Mm.
Or you think big, but you can't break it down to where you are. Whether it's
Mm.
as a, and like, you think big, but you have to be able to break it to goals, to milestones, to where you are so that you can take action from where you
Nah.
are now.
Mm.
And a lot of times, also, people suffer from what is called analysis paralysis.
Mm.
They overanalyze. Oh my God, I want to do this, I want to do that. Let me tell you an interesting story. I started a business on college, on campus, as in FUTA. I went to Federal University of Technology, Akure. And I started a business that blew up. My father had 4 stars, newspaper, student entrepreneur, student millionaire, and all that. So when I wanted to start, I remember I was like, oh, I need to buy this. It was a dry cleaning business, by the way. So I was like, I need to buy washing machine. I need to, like, I've not started though. I've not even
Mm.
started. But my mind was just thinking, I need to buy washing machine and everything. Guess what? I was broke. So the reason for the business as a then was to do something to earn money. Now
Mm.
I can't start because I don't have money to even buy equipment.
So
A
it would
lot
now become a vicious circle of I can't
yeah,
do this because of this, and then I can't
because
do
of
this
this.
because of
And
that,
a
and
lot
then
of
you do
people,
nothing.
yeah, a lot of people get stuck there. Guess what? But thank God for developing the mind. I've been reading books. I've been, going to seminars, listening to mentors. So one day I was just sitting, praying or meditating. I was just in that state, and I was thinking, how will I get money? And a question just came. Oh no, as in I was sitting and my room was in so the room in Futa, the door of my bathroom was
Oh, you
open.
went to Futa.
Yeah, I went to
Wow.
Futa. Yeah,
I'm
so
from Ondo State. I have a
oh,
ton of friends in Futa.
I'm from Ondo State too, actually.
Okay.
So the door was open. The door of my bathroom was open, right? And then I believe it's the Holy Spirit just asked me a question. You want to start laundry directly and say yes. So what do you need? Like I need washing machine and everything. And then all of a sudden my eyes just went to the table, like a table, I was like table for ironing, right?
Mm.
So my eyes went to the iron. The iron was like on the floor. I saw the iron, and then my eyes went to the door of the bathroom that was open, and I saw a bucket. I saw bucket, and I was like, and then as in kind of like went to the window, and I saw the clothing line outside, and the question came. So what do you need?
Beautiful.
And I was like, wow. It was like a eureka moment for me. And I just came
Mm.
out of that thing and I was like, wow, that's true. And then I came out of that, whether it's trance or just that meditation mode.
Mm.
I stood up, walked out to the other flat. I knocked on the door. I can't forget this. I knocked on the door and I told, I had somebody, my name was Pastor, she was Pastor Joy. And she opened the door and I said, I started my laundry and dry cleaning business. She was like, are you serious? I said, yes. She said, wait. And she went inside and brought out 35 pieces of clothing. I can't, it's stuck in my mind. 35 pieces of clothing. She now said, how much? I'm like, of course, my mama, as in, I've been reading sales book and everything. I had no price. So I said, oh, you know what? Because it's a new business, we are currently running a promotion. And so because of the promotion, we're doing 20 naira a piece. So she was like, oh, so that's 700 naira. I was like, yeah. So she said, oh, take this 500 naira. When you deliver the clothes, you can, we'll give you the balance. So I took 35 pieces of female clothes and I left just from taking action, just coming out and coming. Guess what? The 500 naira was what I took to, for people that in Accra, I guess it was in Futa. I went to Ojaoba, bought the soap, I bought the package nylon and everything. I came back, washed it, spread it, ironed it. But because I in Lagos, I usually take my dad's clothes to the dry cleaners. I know how the nylon and everything. So I did it. So I was thinking, how can I seal it? Then I realized that the iron, as an engineer, the iron is hot. So the tip of the iron, if you go it fast enough, it will seal the nylon.
No.
After many trials, I was able to.
Oh my God.
So that's what I did. I packaged it and everything. And I've heard it a long time ago in one of the books I was teaching that great packaging enhances value. So I sealed it, took it as an iron folded, and by the time I went back to deliver it, this is what she said. She said, "Are you a student or a dry cleaner?" So like, are you a student or a dry cleaner? And that's why it's important. Like anything that you do it with excellence. I'm like, yeah, I'm a student, but also I'm running the business. So like, oh, she was highly impressed and gave me my balance of 200 naira. And that's how I started. Literally. That's how I started. And
how did you scale that business? Because that's very important. Students will be listening to this. I used to tell my friends when I was in school that we're doing business, that one of the things you are missing out is how you interpret or identify yourself. You will think, oh, you are a student who is doing business. No, you have changed status. The day you decided I want to start selling stuff, you have now become a business person that is going to school. So your attention is so how did you scale that business even as a student?
So how did I even arrive at laundry and dry cleaning? That should be the first question. And that arises from trying to solve daily needs. As in, wealth is made in meeting daily needs.
Yes,
because if you meet daily needs, it means people will need it daily. And that means you constantly have money. Then one of the people I was looking at was Dangote. And Dangote had this meeting daily needs. When you look at, I think another person was Jimo Ibrahim, was Synergy Oil or Gas or something. Your cars are using oil. And so I'm like, okay, what can I do? So that's why I came up with dry cleaning. People are wearing clothes every day.
Every day.
But also remember that this is Futa. Futa is like Federal University of Theology. So I remember when I started, I can't forget this.
For people who do not know Futa, is Federal University of Technology in Aguda, not Theology.
So, Federal University of Technology, Akure. But why we used to call it theology was like our life was triangle: class, church. So it was not a business-oriented school and all that. So when I started, one of the things that I did was that I had a business friend that was doing well in OAU. So once a month, I traveled to OAU campus.
Was it Risky Burger?
No, it was not Risky Burger. It was a full star. It was into graphics and all that. It was so I used to go there once a month. And, because there was nobody that was SC or encouraging me. And I used to be part of the fellowship I used to go to. I used to be part of the leadership. So on campus, people used to call me Pastor Femi. So the pastors were like, oh, you're not, I was almost like an outcast. So you are supposed to be serving God. You are doing business. So how did I scale? That's the question, right? So, but when I started, right, I started doing it diligently. But guess what? Remember, I said I have a mentor. I used to go ask questions once a month, as in nonstop. I ask questions. I also could call him and everything. So it got to a point. If you see my, I
Was
was
that was that intentional, or you just stumbled into the relationship with
oh, it was
the?
intentional. It's
Mm,
intentional. Like it's intentional, and that's one of the things that has helped me every time. Mentorship, the power of mentorship.
mm,
So if you see my schedule as a student, you'll be like, oh my God. Because I realized that as a student, you have time. If there's one
mm,
commodity you have, is time. People are like, oh no, no, you have time. There's no child pulling your trouser and saying, daddy, 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 or mommy, mommy, mommy.
mm,
There's no
mm.
school fees to pay. And also, one of the things that I learned early was that campus is a controlled environment, especially Nigeria
Yeah.
campus. It's a controlled environment. So if we need water, everybody needs water. So all we are saying, give us water. If you need food, everybody needs food.
Mm,
If you are broke, everybody's broke, kind of.
mm,
So I came up with this. If you cannot succeed in a controlled environment, how do you want to succeed in an uncontrolled environment? So that's why
mm,
campus is a training ground. Then
mm,
if you can succeed, because it's controlled, it's literally controlled. But
mm,
out there is not controlled. There are so many forces that is, that is pulling at your businesses and all that. So, but on campus, literally everybody needs water. Everybody needs water. Everybody needs this.
mm,
So it's kind of controlled. So if you can't succeed in a controlled environment, how do you want to succeed in an uncontrolled environment? So
mm,
that's why a whole lot of businesses, a whole lot of ideas, a whole lot of even ministries came out of campus. Why? Because it's like a training ground for it's like a picture of
mm.
your future. Check it out. Check out every great man or woman or Mark Zuckerberg. Where did he start? They now dropped out because this idea was too big for.
Mhm, mhm,
So that's how I started. And then so I started doing this. I would go in the morning to class. At every break, I think this is not joke. Oh. Every break, if you know Futa very well, we have Obanla, Bakekere, it's like a
mhm,
distance, everything. And I think I was living off campus. So usually you have like 30 minutes or 1 hour. I think it was 1 hour break or something, or break between classes.
mm,
Each break, when everybody is laughing and jesting and joking, I've taken a public transportation back back at home,
mm,
ironing, as in ironing, because dry clean or wash the clothes, just ironing. I'll be checking the time before they resume again. I'm gone. As in, I was living like every second. You can't invite me to party and you'll see me there.
mm,
As in, because every time was kind of precious. So I
mm,
took to a point where I could not do it again. So what did I do? I had to find someone I had to find someone like a local person and everything. And luckily, I got this guy. It's also Akwa Ibom, Ofem.
mm,
So I got him. It was even students that recommended him. When they saw like, oh, this is what you're doing. My church members they recommended him, and so I started using him and everything. And of course, we grew to a point where we kind of like we could not grow again.
mm,
We could not grow. So that's when I knew that we actually need washing machines and likes. So
mm.
why? For us to be more efficient, we've been using hand, and when
Yeah.
we're using hand, I just try and imagine hand and everything. So how did we scale? I remember sitting on like, okay, what do we need? As at then, we needed like 300,000 to 500,000 naira to be able to
Mm,
get the equipment that we need and all that. And this is another like way to raise money. So I said, I'm like, how can I raise this money? I didn't really have that capital, no one to go to. So I remember how we started was my friend, Bigba. He used to live in Magodo, Shangisha area. So,
mhm,
and one day I was like, man, I need washing machine and everything. So he told me, oh, they have a washing machine in their house
mm.
that they are not using again. Or it was working, but I think they bought another one. So they were not
Okay.
using that one. So I told him, let's make an offer. You start learning deal making. We're still reading books, so we're using all the knowledge that we have. So we made her an offer, and she accepted the
That
offer.
she could not resist.
Whatever the offer was, that's for me to know. But we had, because we started saving money and everything, so we were able to get that machine. It was, I think it was the LG or something, or so it was old, but it was working efficient.
It worked.
But we needed to scale more. So one time I was able to meet some. I thought about mentorship. So I was living in a house. So my landlord's son took me to someone, and when I entered their office, man, they had all the equipment. Like, it was like the dream place and everything. So this was 1 year prior. As in, so this time, on there, so I was praying, like, I need this equipment, I need this equipment, I need this equipment. I was trying to raise money. I remember sitting down and writing, how can I raise 300,000? Ask 10 people for 10, as in ask 30 people for 10,000. I was writing it down. And that's the thing. People don't do this thing. You don't sit down and think, pray, but also think and think on paper. So I was writing down. So I just realized that, okay, this person. And then when I was writing it down, my mentor told me, write out 30 ways by which you can raise 300,000. As in, Bishop Oyedepo will say, at the root of every game is the use of the brain. Make your brain think, make it sweat. So I sat down. You will think it's easy until you sit down to write. I could not go past number 4. I was raised to I was like, so I was thinking, I was sweating, and then all of a sudden I just heard, and I believe it's the Holy Spirit. I said, just ask me a simple question. Do you need the money or do you need the equipment? So I just said, that's true. It's the equipment I need. So immediately I said it's the equipment. I remember the person I met 1 year ago that had all the equipment. So I stood up, went to my neighbor's house. I said, oh, this person you introduced to me, how is their business? They were like, oh, they've closed up shop. I was like, oh, really? Yes. I said, what about the equipment? He said, it's just locked under lock and key. Of course. And that's the thing about you always developing your mind, reading, having mentor. I saw an opportunity right there. You know what I did? Merger and acquisition.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
So I told my neighbor, I have 2 offers. As in, offer. Me an offer. I'm like, I have 2 offers. One offer is that I will buy all the equipment and I'll be paying instrumentally as in every month, because we have good cash flow. We have a lot of customers. Our problem was that we had too much customers and we cannot fulfill. Or they give me all the equipment and we become partners. As in, of course, I was a student and this was a bank manager, Oceanic bank manager that owns the place. So I can't say I'm buying you over. So I said, yes, you become partners and you'll be getting something every month.
Every month.
My friend said, my neighbor said, okay. So we made them the offer. So they called for a meeting.
Let's go.
So we had a meeting and I already done all the slides of projection and everything. Then I was like, prepared and everything. So I started talking. The manager said that I should stop. I was like, no, that is said no, stop. He said, do you know what? I said, no. He said, the first time we met 1 year ago, I said something that kind of like drew his attention. I said, what's that? He said, I told him I had a mentor. I was like, yeah, that's normal, right?
That's normal, standard procedure.
It was like, no, he has never heard somebody doing dry cleaning saying he has a mentor. So I was like, oh, really? He said, since that thing stuck with him, and that I know I can do all projection and everything, but that he believes in me. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. So he said, oh, he's busy. Let's continue this meeting tomorrow. So I said, okay, we'll continue. Guess what? 7 a.m. the next day. As in, I heard a knock. And this man was moving all the equipment to my house. Because I rented a 2-bedroom flat. So I was using the living room. The business grew to the point that we rented a whole 2-bedroom flat. So the living room was like our center of operation.
Yeah, operation, yeah.
So 7 a.m., the man knocked and was moving we've not finished meeting, was moving all the equipment. So, and that's some of the places I started learning that you don't really need money. you can literally start a business with $0 or zero naira, but people will say, no, you can't. And
Oof.
that's been my own idea, as in that's I scaled with literally credibility, as in because people invest in people, not necessarily in business.
In business ideas, yes.
At that stage, because it's you that will run the idea. It's until it gets to a big place that where you can go sell shares. That's when anybody can invest in. But at the initial stage, that's literally, of course, with the equipment came more efficiency. So we could, as in, employ one more person and employ one more person. So as in my final year, I had 4 staff, as in I had 4 staff. So came out in newspaper, national newspapers like student millionaire. My father called from Lagos like, I think my role and so that's literally how I scaled.
Wow. Wow, that is beautiful. And it got to a point in modern or urban conversations that they start loathing or despising motivational speakers, right? Or self-help generally as an industry. And I'm confused because, okay, let's take the extremes. They say don't aspire to perspire so that you don't retire on your desire. Okay, that sounds really cheesy. But do you want to give up on your desires? Like somebody is reminding you to aspire to perspirate, like sweat. That's the meaning of perspire. Like aspire. Let your aspirations be thinking or be so big that it makes you do the work and sweat, so that you do not retire the things you desire. I mean, do you want to retire? Why are you hating on this thing?
So I agree on it, but I will say that where the problem lies is the fact that a whole lot of people were reading it and not taking action. So they were kings of books, but not kings of action. Ideas are cheap. Ideas are like, people say ideas rule the world, right? But it is executed ideas.
Execution.
So that is where the hard work is. The motivation is for you not to give up. So as in, to read, I know it's possible. When you're doing it, you know that people have gone through it, and encourage yourself, motivate yourself to go, not to give up. But a whole lot of people, and that's the difference. That's literally the difference. I remember when I started, I told you I started washing with hands, literally hands. I was that situation where people would come and they would knock at my door. And in school then I was living in a very nice place. So they'll knock at my door and they say, I want to wash one clothes. And I'll look at them like, do you think I'm a broke person? As in, just when you have to talk to your ego and say, hey, calm down. You're a businessman.
Yes, sir.
And one thing I forgot to say was that one of the things that how will I put this? One of the things with my generation that was wrong with my generation then, especially the motivational speakers and all that, and more than even those that were not reading motivational books or anything, was that there was pride. We were too prideful. As in, and you will think you are not. And I watched some of my own mentor. It was a mentor that solved my own. So how did that happen? We formed a club then we called ourselves Zillonia's Club. We did not stay with millions, we did not stay with billions, we just went to Zillion. And what were we doing? We just sit down and just come up with just sit down and say, what ideas can we come up with? Because we were broke. So we realized that the only way we can get money is by having a service or goods or services. So just sit down and be brainstorming, what ideas can we come up with? So that's when I came up with the laundry and dry cleaning, right? And I remember telling one of my mentors that was in that, like, overseeing the Zillionaires Club, that if I start dry cleaning now, people will think I don't have money. I was just thinking like, because everybody was doing web development, websites and everything. That was what was raining then. And then here's me trying to like wash clothes. As in like, I don't have money. And I just said, people think I don't have money. And I remember my mentor looked at me, walked up very close to me. And and as in very close. And my mentor then was she was also my pastor, was a female. She walked up very close to me, as in extremely close. I was like very close. And she stood on her toe because she was a bit shorter than me. And looked me in the face and shouted, "Do you have money?" As in, I was shocked. I was confused.
Oh my God!
It was very loud. Do you have money? And that's the thing mentorship would do for you. Mentors are not there to pamper you. So when she said, "Do you have money?" I just, I was shocked. As in, you could see my several expressions went through my mind. And then when my mind settled, I was like, "That's true. I don't have money." Because I don't have money, that's why I was trying to do business.
Oh my God!
So that kind of like solved that pride. That's when that's when I knew that a lot of my mates and on my generation, that pride, we had so much, we're too proud. We're broke, I'm proud. And it's a worst combination. To be broke, I'm proud. And if you notice, most broke people are always proud. So I had to deal with that. And so I just had to start with my hands. And why? Because you remember what I said? Think big, start small,
go fast.
So some people think big, start, but they don't grow. So I think, let's just go ahead because I think.
Thank you so much for that. That was great. That was really, really good. And if people are listening like I was rapidly, you would see principles, even though it was a business run by a student, you would see principles that even bigger businesses use today. We were there when Access Bank acquired a bigger bank that was Diamond Bank, and then they became what they are today. And we've seen that play out in multiple industries across the world. So even though it was a business run by a student and it was a long time ago, there are principles that are, eternal in nature, in that very story. So thank you so much for sharing. A few other things that I would like to ask you and get to know. I hear it from, immigrants that are here. And I've also seen it when they want to start, real estate as a form of investing. They go back home to go and build that house or buy that apartment, maybe for Airbnb or what have you. They go back to Nigeria or go back to, their homeland as a form of the world, maybe in Africa or anywhere else. Do you think that is advisable, from your experience being a real estate entrepreneur?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So while you were asking the question, I remember the question that you actually asked before.
Okay.
So I'll try to answer both of them together because the question was like, what did I use or how did I start, which is real estate, as in being here and everything. You remember I said I chose real estate as my vehicle to wealth.
Yes.
And when I came in here, as in I'm going to be 9 years next year, but I've never taken a paid employment. As in what I mean, I've never taken a 9 to 5. But that is because, number one, vision. That's what I wanted. Number two is I started working on it. Number three is that I got vision partners or vision partner that saw it and supported and believed in the vision. And, and the vision partner there is my wife. Because she has been here before me. So, so my wife was able to, I was able to still think big, start small, grow fast.
Yes, sir.
And so that's literally how I started. Then now back, but also how did I start? I started in a very strategic way, right? Because when I came in for 1 year, I was a PA to a pastor. Also, it was also a real estate. It was also into real estate. So I was strategic. There's a particular tribe in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, yes.
That has been very successful at a particular model.
Right.
And when you start reading books, you will see that a lot of billionaires that's the model they use.
Yes, sir.
As in Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, as in they all did a form of mentorship. Warren Buffett had Benjamin Franklin that he was with for 2 years.
Hmm.
As most people don't know, they all say, "Oh, Warren Buffett, Warren Buffett." It was his professor that was already doing, and he was with him for 2 years. If you
Wow.
read all through, Steve Jobs went to IBM.
Hmm.
So a lot of people just read when I'm reading, I
Even
go to the
philosophers from
foundation.
Aristotle to Plato to
Yeah.
from Socrates to Aristotle,
Mhm.
they all learned from each other. And I'm also a student of like Stoicism, and all of them intentionally, which is why I asked the other time, did you stumble into that relationship with your mentor, or it
No,
was
it
a
is
strategy?
normal because it was intentional. Like
Hmm.
some of my friends called me Mr. Intentional. But it was intentional because success is intentional. Nobody gets to the top of the mountain by accident. You can get to the
Hmm.
bottom by accident. Have you ever seen anybody say, "Oh, I got to the top"? Like, no, it takes a whole lot of
Hmm.
intention. It takes a whole lot of preparation. So the same way, success. When you wanted to become a doctor, you didn't say, "Hey, I'm a doctor, motivated. I'm
Hmm.
motivated, highly motivated to be a doctor." Or you say, "Oh, doctor," but if you get sick, you will not go to that person. So you
Hmm.
just have motivated wannabe. Hasn't. So why? But people went through the process, paid
Hmm.
the. So the same way, success it does not just happen to anybody. You
Hmm.
have to follow the process. It's not an accident. So, like I said, I chose real estate, but very strategic in the sense of like pride. Will always be your number one enemy that you have to be fighting. So
Hmm.
when I came in here, I was an apprentice slash PA. But for me, it was like an apprentice. I was just learning.
Hmm.
I would talk to, I would see contractor because I was new in the land. I didn't know anyway.
Yes,
So I
sir.
was using that. I was like, so eventually, and of course, people are like, oh, so did you just make money? No, I didn't just make money. Like I said, one of the things, if I tell you some of the things I've done, have you heard of Amazon Flex before? Amazon
Yeah.
delivery. I did Amazon delivery. I did
Hmm.
Heat. So I used to do the ones that people would not meet me. So I was doing the one that would deliver the food. Amazon Flex, you deliver the package. That's you
Hmm.
using your why? Because I still needed to always have money, constantly. But I
Yeah.
was sold out to real estate. And also Amazon Flex because I didn't know anywhere. So while I was delivering packages, I was using it to know
The
places.
areas. Hmm.
Okay, so this is where the wealthy lives. Okay, this is where that is and everything. So now because I know I was going to be in real estate. So, and then also I became a real estate broker. So that helped me to know where neighborhoods,
Places. Hmm.
suburbs, and all that. But I didn't. How will I explain? My vision was what drive me there.
Hmm.
So everything I was doing was to help or enhance the
Support.
main vision.
Hmm.
So I was not doing anything just by chance. So
So destination was
was
known and solid, but the vehicle was now what were
my wife
different
will
at
say
different
they
stages.
are placeholders. They're
Mm,
placeholders. Like they are placeholders. So I used to do that, and and this is where I was talking about pride. A lot of people were buying single family houses. Hey,
mm,
my house. Hey, I bought house,
mm, mm.
and I remember then my wife was already working. She was a big girl. Yeah, I was I was just starting. I met her on the journey. I met her actually in the US. I met her in
Mm,
church. And she was sold out on my vision. She was like, "Oh, who's this guy with this vision, like
mm,
entrepreneurship?" And so that's another story for another day. So she was sold out on the vision of this. So everything. I remember I used to read. So I was studying and reading. So I learned about a whole lot of things. So
mm,
in my first, so what I was, so I told my wife, I said, number one, I don't want to pay rent in America,
mm,
which sounded crazy. Like, how can you not pay rent in America? And then number two was because I was already reading from Nigeria, from the UK, about
mm,
real estate. So I knew exactly what I wanted. So I'm like, okay, can't we buy one, instead of
mm,
buying one house, can't we buy four flats, three
mm,
flats? And because if you know me, if you follow me, you know I love cars.
mm.
like, can't we buy 3 or 4 cars? Buy not cars, sorry, buy 3 or 4 flats or apartment, and then stay in one, rent out two or
The
three,
rest. Mm.
and then let your tenants pay your mortgage and go and buy a Range Rover. Let your tenants pay the for the Range Rover. And then people laughed me to scorn. Like, yeah, it just came, Shesha Day,
Mm.
JJC. America is not like that. This is
Mm.
America. So, and to some extent, as in,
They were correct.
they were correct, right? But guess what? If you wear glasses and the lens is red, everywhere looks what? Everywhere looks.
Red. Yes, sir.
If the lens is blue,
You
everywhere
see
looks
blue.
blue.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that everywhere is blue?
No, sir.
I always tell people, everybody sees in their own conceptual lens.
Mm.
I learned that right from Futa. When people are like, students here, they are broke, but there were students that were using cars. There were students that were going to club. So when the same thing I saw here, like, this, as in, you can't succeed like that. That's not the way. That's not they laughed me to score. So guess what? I kept quiet.
Mm.
I have a mantra: make your move in silence. Let your Lamborghini make the noise.
Yes, sir.
Execution.
And that's your Jaguar.
Remember execution. So I kept quiet. The only person that believed in the vision was my wife. So she was like, yeah, it's possible. Thank God she has been here. She had credit. She had, so many things. So I was able to leverage some of the things that she already had. You remember? No, money is not your first problem.
Yes, sir.
Being able to create that opportunity. So I learned about so many things. FHA. Most people did not even know about FHA when I came. They were only, you need 20% to buy a house. You need 20% to buy a house. I learned about FHA, which allows you to put down 3.5%.
Mm.
I learned about FHA 203K, which you put down not only will you put down 3.5%, they also give you money to fix the house. So another name for it was construction loan. I learned about foreclosure houses that the bank was auctioning.
Yeah.
So usually when people are doing deals, they use one. Me, I used everything I've learned in one deal because the mentor I was following was always doing cash deals. And if I was going to wait to be having the cash, maybe I would have waited for 5 years or 6. So I learned about leverage. I learned about debt. But the thing about debt is that a lot of Africans, not Nigerians, when we get debt like this, we are like,
Sorry.
But guess what? The system of America is built on debt. Problem was that there is good debt and there's bad debt.
Yes,
but most times we are always on the other end of the bad debt because we are using our money to buy liabilities. Liabilities are what takes money out of your pocket. Assets are what puts money into your pocket. Right? So I'm like, if the bank is going to give me money to do this, we might as well do what we can buy. And there's going to be more money coming out that will pay the bank and also put in our pocket while we're living free. And when I told people, they were just laugh. They were just laughing. So I kept quiet, and then we did it. I was able to get 3 flats, 9 bedrooms.
That statement that you made, can you say it again?
Which was
that find something, find a while your bank ahead, and then while you are living free. Yes.
No. I was like, if the bank was going to fund it, like if you're buying a house, the bank funds a big part of it, right? So if I'm going to be putting down 3.5% down, right? 3.5. Look, think about it. 3.5%. And you can buy something, or you can buy a house or a building that can produce more than the amount you'll be paying the bank back every month.
Yes.
And can put some money into your pocket. Remember, business is so. This is business now. This is not my house. Even though it's my house, if that can happen, then I can successfully live free of charge. Tenant is paying because there's more cash flow, and I'm happy. So did you get that? So
Yes, sir.
What I did was we were able to get a building, 9 bedroom, 6 baths, 3 flats, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 3 bedroom, 2 baths. We're able to buy it at the auction. We're bidding for it. So we won. And when I mean we, me and my wife, because we invest together. So we won the bid. It needed money to fix. So and I structured the deal. You remember I've been going around working with these contractors. So I had an idea of what things were going to cost. So we structured the deal in such a way that the cost to purchase and the cost to fix equals to the after rehab value of so the bank will give you the money as long as purchase and cost to fix equals to the loan. If they do the appraisal of the house when you finished it. So guess what? That's what we did. The amount to buy, the amount to fix, as in was going to be equal to the loan we are getting when the house is finished. So I know it's too much. It's too much. That's why that's why I run classes. So if you don't understand, you might come to my class.
Yes, sir.
And then so this point. So but let me break it down. So mortgage was 1980 every month. 1980 every month. And the house, 2 flats, was producing 2650 every month. Now, so we had 770 positive. No, 770 after mortgage is paid.
Okay.
But don't forget, I was living in one of the 3 bedroom, 2 bath, free of charge.
Yeah.
So after we keep one, I used to keep 150 for in case of any expenses. I think I had 400 or thereabouts extra. We just had some extra money. No, I had more than that, 5 something extra. So I went to go and buy. After like 6 months or 3 months, Range Rover. Of course, it was a used one and everything. Also because for the job I was doing, I was selling real estate. I needed the car to, for packaging,
Yeah.
And guess what? My tenants were paying for the mortgage of the house and the car notes. Because the car notes for the car was $400. So that's how I started.
Living free.
Living free in less than 2 years being in America. Because I arrived 1st of December 2015, right? Closed on the house August 2017.
Wow.
So that's less than 2 years. Of course, like I said, my wife was able to leverage a whole lot of things. So money for me was not going to stop me. As long as, because your mind is the first place you invest in.
Yes, sir.
People think is your money you first. No, the first thing you invest in is you. Because you will be making the decision. You will be directing where the money to go or not.
Yes,
That's why a whole lot of people, because they've not developed their mind, they always lose their money. So that is literally our story. Now back to the second question, where about investing in Nigeria and everything. I'm of the opinion. The question is, where do you spend most of your life in? What are you spending? Are you spending naira or are you spending dollars? Right? As I'm not. Don't get me wrong. You can go and invest. You can build and everything. But I was asking somebody recently. I said, the house. Because there's a way we compensate fast. Like, if you see my house that I built in Nigeria and everything. So I said, okay, nice. Showed me. I'm like, whoa, beautiful. So I said, where do you live? Said, oh, America. How much time do you spend in Nigeria? He said, maximum. Sometimes it does not even go at all. Sometimes 1 month in Nigeria. I said, okay. I said, you have this big house lifestyle. Like, if you go to Nigeria, like, big man, I'll be here. He said, but yeah, where are you living? You're like this one and that. So I said, a lot of people will be living on your, as in maybe your family, your brother, and if they'll be living in the house and enjoying that benefit and be like, big man, you are here living like a poor man. By the time, say retirement, by the time you retire and go to Nigeria, you probably cannot climb the stairs to go up. So I'm of the belief, let your lifestyle here matches the lifestyle of whatever you go and build in Nigeria.
Mm.
Number two is, why don't you invest here, earn in dollars, and then use that to fund or to build anything there? Because I say people do the reverse. Remember, I said our parents, we blame them. But a lot of them, this is what they do. And we're still repeating it. Because at the end of the day, sometimes even the kids you give, they say, they're not going to Nigeria. A good example, somebody built a house and everything. So he was collecting, I think he said the rent was like 2 million or something. And then the exchange rate happened. So before it used to be like $2,000, right? Something around. But now it's like maybe $700 or $800. So I asked him, is that gain or is that loss? They were like, I can't even bring the money. That's a loss. So I'm like, but if you've invested here, there's monthly cash flow, right?
That you at the very least, you would retain the quality of that money.
The equity, your capital is preserved and everything. So I'm of the firm belief, always invest where you are, where you can see. I'm not saying you should not invest in Nigeria, but make sure your lifestyle is someone that can, don't live like a pauper in Nigeria. You're going to do like a king. Because sometimes that's why you say a lot of people, and they say their family is coming or something, they say, I don't know, it's just the American is hard, American is hard. I'm not saying America is not hard or anything. It's because they don't want them to come see the kind of lifestyle that they are living here. Because there's a false narrative back home in terms of where they're living. So
I've never thought about it like that. Oh my God.
It's because, see, a lot of the things are in our subconscious. You always look for the reasons why people make some decisions. Like I said, the way my brain thinks, I always look for trends and everything. Because, and then you see somebody was telling me and say, oh, I think my uncle to come. Say, don't come. And I was laughing. Say, why will you say I should not come? Why will you say I should not come? I just like I said, because when you come here, you'll be shocked. You think your uncle is all that.
You know, guess Oh my God. So you mentioned that you do trainings. How often does this happen and where does it happen?
Well, I have not done it in a while, but I'm going to start doing more. But it's going to be, I do physical, but also I'm going to do, but I think my next one is going to be more virtual, so people can join via Zoom and all that. So, yeah.
Awesome. Great. We'll ensure that happens. We'll beg him. And also, you have a book on Amazon. I would like to touch on that. Yeah. Do not take the back seat.
Don't take a back seat.
17 indispensable laws
of getting ahead in life.
So what I would like us to do, just pick one of your favorite laws. We'll talk about it. And then maybe after that, just call it a day after a very wonderful conversation.
Yeah. So the book has an interesting background. It's actually not a book on real estate. It's a motivational book.
Yeah.
It's a motivational book. And I actually read the book when I was in FUTA.
Wow.
Yeah, as in the first iteration of the book was on FUTA. But I used to say that our life was not looking like it yet. Even though we had the laws. And that's the interesting thing about life, is that principles, like I said, are universal. So I learned the principles and I wrote down like, these are the things, because I was applying it then. But I didn't feel successful enough. Even though I did a small unpublished book and small, like I said, I always jump. So I did a small unpublished book, too many typographies, and I was just embarrassed with that book. So I just left it for a long time. So one of my leader or pastor then recently, when I mean recently, like when I'm in America and everything, just reach out to me and just send me the book. I said, oh man, no. I'm embarrassed with this book and everything. So he said something. He said, so let me see if I can say, but what he said was that, he said, don't be embarrassed about this, because it shows that you are not an overnight, that you are not an overnight success, that you've been patient for long.
Yes, sir.
And he said something, he said, you've lived the principles in this book that now, as in he's reading it and he's thinking, this is, as in he was reading, I could relate to where as in I am. You remember I wrote it, but I was like, if I read it then I look at my life, you're like, these are all these motivational people.
Exactly.
But now, it was written and saying, oh my God, this guy, as in this, and they're universal. Like I said, they're universal. These principles are universal, simple but universal, and simple, universal. And so I said, well, you know what? Let me rewrite it and, fleshing it out. And then I was able to rewrite it, fleshing it out. Simple, easy to read. You can even finish it in one sitting. If you are like people like me, I can finish a book in one sitting. And, it's 17 laws, literally. So let me pick one. Which one should I pick now? There's too many. Where's the book, Seth? No, because I've read so much like I don't want to quote it out of. I don't want to like get my point.
Okay.
Just give me. I know the law of documentation where it talks about shortest pencil is better than the law about documenting.
Put it down. It's so funny because you even mentioned it while you were speaking earlier. I think.
Oh yeah. I mentioned about documenting things and all that. So yeah. So thank God. You see, it's good to have a good background. My wife is listening to everything we are saying, even though she's not.
Hello, Mrs. A. We're saying hi.
So the law of doing. Thank God, doing is. I talked about execution, and what I wrote here was that everyone, as in, there's a quote. Usually, the book there's a law, there's a quote, and then I thought about. And the quote is interesting because everyone gets an idea in the shower. But the successful one gets out of the shower, dry off, and do something about it.
Yes, sir.
And that's the difference between motivational speaking. After we've read, it's you going to implement. So this is the law. Understand the law. This law states that success is not just about thinking or planning. It's about taking action. Simple. Success is not about thinking or planning. It's about taking action. Thinking and planning is part of it, but it's not it's not about it.
That's not all.
Because no matter how much you think, no matter how much you plan, no matter how good that plan is, if you don't take action, that's why the most brilliant people are not the richest. In fact, the most what do you call them now? I was asking somebody recently, musician. I'm like, that the best musicians are actually not those that they are being celebrated. I'm like, what do I mean by that? I'm like, look, okay, let's be frank. Whose voice is it the best voice? No disrespect to. I'm just saying.
Yes, sir, I get you.
Well, I'm just saying that, but there's something, and there's another law called the law of skills. As in, people don't pay for talent. People pay for skills.
Yes, sir.
No matter how hungry you are, if you come to my house, if I give you uncooked meat, are you going to eat it? I'm not talking of sushi. I'm talking uncooked. Why? You're not going to eat it. And that's the way talent is. Talent is raw. But it has to go through fire, processing. It's skills that people pay for in the marketplace, not talent. That's why when some people sing, they sing to God and not to man. Why? Because
sing that song in your closet.
Why? Because they've not added skill to their talent. Skill is what people pay for in the marketplace.
Yes, sir.
Not talent. So the law of the doing, and you don't get to that level except you take action. When you take action, whether you feel, a lot of the simplest form is learning how to ride a bicycle. The reason why a lot of people don't know how to ride a bicycle, they feel they are going to fall, so they don't even do it. But those that step fell maybe like 50 times, but they're riding it today. So that's law of the doing. like I
You have
said,
talked
it's
about 3 laws already. Law
yeah.
of documenting or documentation, law of skill, law of doing. Oh
There's
my
also the
God.
law of opposition,
Opposition.
as in the law state that there's an equal and opposite. Wait, this is where there's an equal and opposite negative force for every positive force.
Hmm. That's like the parallel to Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
It
So,
says anything that will go wrong will go wrong.
mhm.
Hmm.
So if you push down on one side, the other will rise with the same force.
God, I
Then
beg.
so this law applies to all areas of life, from physics to personal relationship.
Hmm.
Because when you break up with someone, and somebody is good because now I see husband. To the other
Hmm.
part, as in, my heart is broken. I
Hmm.
lost it. So
Hmm.
it's and that is life. So you don't expect that you just be succeed, like you just go on the free, just be going. No,
Hmm.
success is not a straight line. Success is if they plot the graph, you'll be like, oh my god, you're not even
Yeah.
starting.
Yeah.
So
You cannot
like I said,
understand it.
you can't
Hmm.
understand why, because opposition is part of the deal. Even Jesus Christ told you in the Bible, or told us in the Bible, said,
Yes, sir.
in this
In this
world
world.
you will have in this world, as long as you're in this world you have persecution.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I can go on and on. There's law of excellence. I talked about the law of excellence. Whatever
Hmm.
you do it well. And I love this quote: if a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep streets, even as Michelangelo painted, as
Hmm.
in Beethoven's composed music, or Shakespeare wrote poetry. He
Hmm.
should he should sweep streets so well that all the host of everyone on earth will pause to say, "Here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well."
Hmm.
And you know who said that?
I think it was Martin
Martin
Luther.
Luther. Oh,
Yeah.
see, you see, you read.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for a worthy and insightful
Oh my God,
debut
I didn't. This
conversation.
time I'd gone. Wow,
Yeah, we've done, this is what, 76 minutes of,
wow.
conversation. Thank you so much, sir. This was really, really beautiful. And like I said the other
And
time,
we're just starting. I've not even.
exactly, that's what I was about to say, that in another 3 months or thereabout, we're coming back to have another version of this conversation. You have now become our unofficial patron, that we like it or not, because this needs to happen again and again, from all the possible angles that we came from money, from doings, from excellence, from knowing your stuff in the marketplace and all of that. And
Yeah.
we really want to say thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. And we thank Mrs. A also for providing
Yeah.
us the necessary support that we needed when it came on.
Thank you for really having me. As in, it's as in I'm not just as in people are learning, but I'm also learning because
Mm.
as in saying these things, that's the way we learn. It's like
Yes, sir.
as you're saying
Yes,
it,
sir.
as you're blessing people, you're also reminding yourself of the
Of the
things
things you did that brought you
you did
here, that
yeah,
you do not, you
yeah.
cannot afford to stop.
Because sometimes it's still the same thing that you will still take it to the next level. Just
Yes,
at
sir.
what level are you operating it? As in,
Mm.
so
Mm. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I want to say thank
thank
you,
you.
thank you,
Thank
thank
you
you.
for having
Have
me.
a wonderful rest of your evening. God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.